Virginia Democrats receiving a lot of backlash over a sexual predator case that made national news after the state chose not to prosecute a known sex offender. Transgender individual Richard Kenneth Cox is 58 years old. Good-looking fella, there he is. Cox allegedly lied about his identity to enter a Virginia public school pool and the shower area after hours where he exposed himself to young high school girls. Democrats chose to defend the transgender community instead of the children, prioritizing identity politics over the safety of minor girls. Cox also sent threatening emails to the school system just before the election stating he would not vote for and would encourage others in the transgender community not to vote for candidates who did not support their transgenderism. Here to discuss, Paul Runko, Senior Director of Strategic Initiatives for Defending Education, who is currently in Orlando, Florida at the Moms for Liberty Joyful Warriors National Summit. Paul, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me, Steve.
You know, I would feel better, obviously, if this were an isolated incident, but it's not. This is not an isolated incident. We see more and more of this, and you wonder how many we don't hear about. This is a problem. Adult men posing as women being granted access to locker rooms, restrooms, shower areas. It's insane, and frankly, I think it's immoral. What do you say?
Well, as you mentioned, I'm here at the Moms for Liberty Summit 2025, and this is a big discussion here, right? This transgender issue, particularly in schools, K-12 schools. And our own polling, Defending Education, my organization, our own polling shows this is an 80-20 issue. Parents across the political spectrum, whether you're Republican, Democrat, Independent, believe that girls should have their own spaces and that men should not be allowed in girls' restrooms, girls' locker rooms, and their private spaces in schools. So we really need to start getting back to what we believed years ago when we had these policies in place, and not these policies that you just mentioned gave this man access to the aquatic center locker rooms where, these alleged heinous acts took place.
Well, we are seeing, I saw a graph here just yesterday that showed this idea, and the people that identify as transgender really started to spike 2020, 2021. It peaked in 2023, and now it's coming down fast because people are like, wait a second, stop it. And let's be clear about this. It was promoted. It was propaganda. People got lost on YouTube and TikTok and other places told this is, if you don't feel quite right, you might not be in the right body and all this other nonsense. It was propaganda and advertising that drove this insanity. Thankfully, there's a lot of pushback from you and organizations like Moms for Liberty. How much more work do we have to do, though, to get this thing completely under control?
Well, there's a lot of work to be done, but parents got a really amazing decision from the Supreme Court this year in Mahmoud versus Taylor, where the Supreme Court reaffirmed parents' rights to opt their children out of some of these LGBTQ plus books and curriculums in school. And so parents really have this amazing tool now to go to their schools and say, I know that this transgender ideology starts right here in kindergarten, but my child isn't going to be a part of it. And so my organization and organizations like Moms for Liberty is encouraging parents, you can opt out and you should opt out.
So let me ask you this, Paul. How old are you?
In my mid-30s.
All right. So you went to high school. You've been out for a few years. How many transgender kids did you go to high school with?
None. And to your point, this was not an issue even, the 15 years ago when I was in school.
Right. That's my point. There were none when I went to school, none when my wife went to school, none when you went to school. So it is a fairly recent phenomenon, again, in my estimation, driven by propaganda and people preying on impressionable young people. We have got to stop the sexualization of children, period. There seems to be this strange obsession with it. I think you would agree with that. We need to scale that back, and we need to fight it every step of the way, don't we?
Absolutely. And unfortunately, the 4 years of the Biden administration really perpetuated this. As your viewers probably remember, the Biden administration tried to change Title IX to replace sex with gender identity. And organizations like mine, organizations like Moms for Liberty sued to stop the Biden administration from doing this. And luckily, the Trump Title IX rule is now in effect. And so we've seen his administration take states like California and Maine to court over this and trying to keep men out of girls' bathrooms, off of women's sports teams, and prevent students from being disciplined when they feel they can't affirm someone's supposed gender identity.
Right. Some states, however, are still fighting, defying the executive order. I don't know where that leads, but probably they're going to lose. It's going to be a big event there, Moms for Liberty. I'm glad you're there, Paul. It's an important conversation for the folks there as well. And we'll have coverage here on Real America's Voice. Thank you for taking time to talk with us today.
Thank you, Steve.